Hi guys, Ingrid Marsh here from Soulful Living with my lovelies, helping you to spread a new vibration of love, a new vibration of light, my lovelies, and a new vibration of joy into every corner of this dark world. And as you know, the universe always sends me the most amazing guests to help me on my mission for us to vibe high, for us to vibrate higher, my darlings, and to have a more fulfilling life. Anyway, today I have the wonderful Dr. Melanie Dean with me, and she has written the most amazing book, which I'm going to put up on our screen now. And I'm just going to get the full title. Or do you want to share with us the full title, Melanie?
The Hidden Power of Emotions, How to Activate Your Energy Field and Transform Your Life.
See, she said it more beautifully than I did. and I must say to you guys, this book came at such a time for me, I tell you. It's, like I said, the universe is quite weird. It sends you what you need at that time. Now, those of you who may or may not know, those of you who know me personally, know that I'm a bit of a, if I don't truly get something, like you'll get me on it on some things. If I can feel it, I'm good with that. But I do love knowing the science behind stuff. I do. Because once I know the science behind things, I know this is an area of conflict in spirituality, but I can tell you now from my own work and my own coaching that many of the stuffs they teach in spirituality actually appears in neuroscience. Yeah. And when I do my own workshops and programs, I bring in, it's actually mainly neuroscience, and those who have that spiritual knowledge actually pick up on it. So when I discovered, when I was approached by Melanie's publicist to do this book, at the time I couldn't do it, my mother just passed. And then I had time to settle down and do it, to read it. And I tell you what, for me, it was that final bit in the click to kind of understand exactly this energy thing. Because there's one thing feeling it, from knowing it, from feeling it. But when you truly understand it from a science perspective, and this is the difference with Melanie's work, it is science-backed, okay? When you understand it from that perspective, my lovelies, it will just open up your world. And literally, I was reading it and my mind was just like popping all over the place. I just thought, whoa, this is just fantastic. And everything I kind of understood from a spiritual feeling perspective, now with the science behind it, I was like, this is excellent. So if you're new to spirituality, especially because it's a lot of us just kind of waking up now, and you're new to spirituality, that kind of thing, then this is really the book for you, because spirituality is all about energy. But for those of you who are like me, and you like to know the nitty gritty, you want to know the science behind it, then this, my darlings, is the show for you. So make sure you stay listening. Melanie, do you mind? I know your full name, of course, is Dr. Melanie. Dr. Melanie.
No, just call me Melanie.
Fabulous. So you're happy with that. Great stuff. Melanie, please tell us a little bit about what you do and why we will benefit from this book.
Well, Ingrid, it's so important that for the listeners to know that they have everything in life that they need to navigate life with power, success, and happiness. Mm-hmm. And I found this out after I experienced what probably you've experienced and everybody, all of your listeners have experienced, which is times when you feel in your zone, you feel in your groove, you feel in your mojo, you're making life happen the way you want to make it happen. Mm-hmm. You feel the success of that. You feel the happiness and the power of that. I imagine you have felt that many times, Ingrid. Yes?
Quite, very much so.
And how would you describe that in your life? What words would you put to describe that?
When I've got the groove on and the flow, you almost can't find words for it. It's almost like it's an X factor, because yes. You can't, for me, I kind of like, I'm lost in it. It's like I'm vibrating on a high level. It's like, for me, heaven on earth. People yes. are going to die to hit heaven. I'm yes. like, you can get that stuff right here and now.
Yes, yes.
That's how I feel.
That is such a great explanation. And during those times, do you also feel like you're connected to some internal wise guidance where you have ideas and inspirations and hunches and nudges and you feel confident and clear about how to proceed? Do you also have times of feeling that during those times?
Yeah, I mean, I call those times like connected to my soul whispers, this is my inner guidance now, and it's beautiful. And funny enough, I did a post on this the other day that I think with technology and how the world is moving, it's so fast and there's so much information overload. I think it's harder and harder personally to connect with that line, to connect to those soul whispers, for that clear guidance to come through. If I go back many years back before the internet, to me, it was easier. I'd hear it, follow it, But
so now it gets mixed up and jumbled with all the other information coming in?
Absolutely. But I know when I'm there because I feel it.
Yes. Well, you are just describing our two main source powers, emotional powers. And so after I did 10 years of research to understand whether this power we all possess was real. I experienced it in my life after I had created this publishing company and it was successful and I was having fun. But I was traveling too much and my children were young and I was missing out on their young lives. And I decided I wanted to sell this successful business that I had grown. I didn't have any idea how to go about that. But in my quiet time every day, I envisioned that. I envisioned selling the business and I envisioned how much money I wanted for the business, how much money I wanted in my bank account at the end of the day. I didn't have any idea, as I said, how to go about that, but I progressed with making wise decisions in my business based on my intuitive guidance that would come to me during those quiet times every day.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, my desire, this calm, clear desire that I have put forth in my morning quiet times, and paying attention to my intuitive guidance and making wise decisions, all of a sudden the business was selling, so surprised, and the exact amount of money that I wanted and had been envisioning was in my bank account. So I wondered, was that like real energy? Was something real happening there that I could repeat, that I could feel this success and have this success and do it for anything else in my life that I wanted? And could I figure out what that was if it was true, and could other people do it? So I found out the answer after 10 years of research, that yes, the answer to all of that is yes. Our calm, clear, purposeful focus is real emotional energy that connects and syncs at a quantum physics level, which I won't have anybody think that that's hard to understand. When you read my book, it'll be easy to understand. But it syncs and communicates inside the body and outside the body. And when those real energy waves actually sync and communicate, they bring you the intuitive guidance you need so you can have confidence in navigating life and feeling confident and knowing you have the resources you need and the guidance you need for making wise decisions. You can be happy, successful, and you've got your own built-in GPS system for figuring out how to navigate life in a happy, successful way.
Because that's really interesting, because up until there was a point where you were speaking to where we hear it all around that stuff, that if you want it, you think about it, you feel it, you get it, blah, blah, blah. And then you brought in, because as I said, that's the woo-woo part. That's the part that a lot of people find like, you're right.
Yes.
That's very much the law of attraction stuff, talking, that kind of thing. But then you kicked in with something that makes what you're speaking about that little bit different to the rest. You talked about the quantum physics and the science behind it. And I will say, I was a bit nervous about picking up this book because I thought it's going to be science overload. When she starts talking quantum physics and all, that's going to be like way above my head. But you do it in layman's terms. So it was like, I get it. I mean, I took some notes as I was writing. I drew some pictures, with the atoms and the elements and all that. But I got it. I got what you meant. Do you think you'd be able to explain that back in layman's terms for my listeners? I mean, probably a load of them are going to be more sciencey than me. But can you break it down slowly?
I will. And I just want to say thank you for mentioning that it was easy to understand and absorb, because when I wrote the book, that was my intention. I put those cute little illustrations in there so that people could kind of visualize how this power works. And I'm glad that for you, you got it, even though you were nervous about the science. So I did my best to make it very easy to understand. So I'll give you a little synopsis for those that are new to this field, that our energy is real. Whenever we have an emotion, our body creates real pieces of matter that match that emotion. You've probably heard of some of these pieces of matter, like when you feel fear, your body makes a molecule called adrenaline. You've probably heard of that molecule, Ingrid, yes?
I have indeed, yes.
And so that molecule is made out of all of the elements or made out of some of the elements that make up our universe. Our universe has elements that make everything work, like hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen. And so those elements make up the molecule of adrenaline.
Right.
Now, you also have molecules of love. So oxytocin, you've heard of oxytocin?
Yeah.
And it is made up of the same elements. So it actually is matter that you can like weigh on a scale, though it's a little tiny, very little molecular mass scale. So none of us have one of those little tiny scales, but it's real matter. And inside those elements, there is a lot of spinning activity that's very powerful, subatomic quantum activity. And each emotion that you have has energy waves, and they have a unique pattern. So the energy wave of your love emotion is also very similar to the emotions of hope and eagerness and compassion. And those energy waves, because remember, every emotion has its own unique pattern, that pattern is smooth and evenly spaced waves. And it's very powerful. Those are vibrate 10 times higher than anger and frustration and fear, because smooth, evenly spaced waves of energy can easily get in sync with other similar waves of energy. And that's where your power is. When they get in sync with other similar waves, both inside your body and outside your body, they communicate. They communicate with the rules of quantum physics. So we won't go into the details of those rules, but that's how they communicate. That's the method. Now, the reason why those caring, calm, hopeful, eager emotions are more powerful is because of that sync. That's the groove. That's the mojo. That's when you're in your zone. You feel that sync. And that sync brings you your intuitive guidance. Now because you'll feel that intuitive guidance of when your energy is connecting with similar other energy, right. And your intuition will say, this is it. This is your connection. This is what you want. This is a match to your desire. The opposite of that is when we get anxious and fearful and worried. The energy pattern of those feelings is sharp, jagged, chaotic, unpredictably spaced, that cannot easily sync with similar other waves. They can if you concentrate hard enough on them. So if you want more anxiety, worry, and fear in your life, concentrate on it, because they can get in sync. It just is harder. They vibrate 10 times lower, and they are 3 times less powerful. So what you want is to activate and use the power of your calm, clear, hopeful, eager focus, because that makes smooth, even waves that can sync with other similar waves and gives you the nudges and the tugs and the ideas and the inspiration, the intuitive guidance for connecting what you want.
Okay, but what I picked up from your book was that the more beautiful waves, the more beautiful energy, what have you, is lighter than the heavier molecules in our body.
Yes.
So please fire away.
No, go ahead. It is true. So remember when I mentioned that you can weigh this energy, it's real energy and you can weigh it. Yeah. It's weighed in molecular terms because these are molecules of energy inside the body. They're weighed by molecular mass. So the molecular mass of love molecule is 3 times lighter. It weighs 1,007 grams per molecular mass. And the fear, frustration, fear, worry molecule weighs 3 times more than that, 2,899 molecular mass grams. And anger is almost 4 times heavier than love. It's nearly 4,000 molecular mass.
So because of that weight disparity, does that make it easier for people who are in a low vibration to stay low because it is such a heavy feeling? Does that make it then harder for them to then get into that lovely wave of the lighter molecules?
It's really just a habit, awareness and habit. So I'm not sure that it's easier. It's actually easier to feel and lighter and feels better to move into the hopeful, eager, calm, compassionate, loving feelings.
Yeah.
Now, it's a habit to stay stuck in worry and anxiety and fear. So your power is going to be in awareness, just being aware that, oh, there's that again. I kind of have a habit. There's certain situations that bring that forth in me regularly. And you'll say, I think I'm going to allow myself to shift. You will find that shift is easy. It's not hard shift to make. So you can use the power of awareness for what it is you don't want in your life, like that causes anxiety, that causes worry, that causes fear, where you feel kind of stuck, you know, like, you don't want to get off the couch. So you can use the awareness of that to know what it is you do want. So when you feel those feelings that feel yucky and you feel stuck, ask yourself, what do I want instead? And make sure the answer to that is what you want, that you have power and control over, which is yourself. Most of the time, people move into the answer to that question and they will focus on somebody else. They'll say, well, if my brother would just do this, or my coworker would just do that, or my daughter would just do that, then everything would be fine. Or my boss would make this decision, everything would be fine.
And that's
now,
sorry to interrupt you there, because that's interesting. Because I'm reflecting on something that happened to me just a couple of days ago before I started reading your book and what have you. And I was in a slump mode. Now I know, because the work that I do, and my usual vibe is high mode. I'm usually, quite in a light high mode. That's my baseline mode. So I only started exercising and going for runs amongst nature and all that 3 years ago. And so it's not fully programmed into my body, but it's not bad compared to how it was, that habit of going for runs. So I was in that slump mode, and I know that I didn't like that feeling, but I have a ritual. I can burn my nature candles or what have you. And I know, even though I don't feel like it, to get outside amongst nature in that park, doing a run. And so when I was reading your book, I was like, yes, I know what she means. The good feeling molecules in my body.
Yes.
And I came back home and felt alive, and everything seemed different around me, so it was really lovely, like relating that to your book, and thought, yes, I know exactly what she's talking about. But I do know those, Melanie, who they don't have that ability to consciously be aware that I'm feeling like poop, and I have that power within me to change this. And like I said, I didn't feel like running. I didn't feel like it.
Sure.
Because I know the end result. But I do know those people, my lovely, who are so stuck, because they're in such a heavy place, such a dark place, that they're unable to do that. So maybe what I'm hoping is that from this talk, they will maybe stop and think and be conscious of the fact that actually I'm feeling a particular way and I can do something about this. Is this basically what you're saying?
It is. And if I may give a little tip or a strategy or suggestion for this, which is to use this opportunity of feeling stuck and feeling, like I just can't make myself do anything, and use that as an opportunity to get clear about what you do want to feel instead, and to pay attention to the power of your intuitive guidance. So take just a few minutes to be quiet with yourself, envision what you do want, and then ask and listen within yourself. Ask your intuitive, wise self from this quiet, calm place of a vision for what you want for yourself. What is one thing that you can do today? One thing. And it might just be a very simple thing, but do it. So pay attention to your intuitive guidance about just one thing that is yours to do this day to bring you closer to the desires of your heart. And you have the power to do that. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be huge, but you will get comfortable and familiar with the listening and paying attention to the intuitive guidance that's real. Those are real energy waves of guidance for you for how to get what you want. And you can pay attention to that, and your guidance is going to give you good guidance. It will be calm and clear and quiet. It'll bring a warmth to your heart. You'll probably say, I get that. Yes. It will not be chaotic and anxious. If you are feeling anxious and worried and fearful, that's not your guidance talking to you. That's not your intuition talking to you. So your intuition talks to you in the same language that you talk to it in the energy field. You put out communications to the energy field with calm, clear, even waves of purposeful focus, what you want in your life. And your intuition talks to you in the same way in return with calm, clear, smooth, even waves that are in sync. And you'll say that matches. You'll feel the match with what you want in your life.
You know, it's funny you're saying that, Melanie. I was having this conversation with someone the other day that, you know, my most successful business ever, which when I had a lifestyle shop in a really lush area called Islington, it's very beautiful. And that came about when I was in flow. There was no big old business plan. There was none of the rules of society.
Yes, yes.
It was just my voice. And going from, and it started from something small and grew and grew and grew. And that was always from flow mode.
Yes.
It's like what I was saying to you earlier on. I find nowadays much more harder to get on that flow, which I'm, you know, from reading your book, you know, it's a lovely reminder to go on that and to keep cutting out that noise, keep cutting it out and get on that wave, because you're right. And all the answers that what told me to do next, what to do, what to move next, open that shop next, go down now, go bigger.
Yes.
It was all from flow. It all come from,
yes.
Everything came from a state of flow and calm and heavenly thoughts. You know, so
absolutely. And I love you sharing that. I would also like to add that, you know, that flow that you're describing, that, you know, you've had a time recently since your mother passed where it was harder to feel that flow.
Yeah.
And that is true, that when we have sadness and grief in our life, it's harder to feel the high of being in the zone. Because, you know, when we are really trucking along with a good vision like you just described for your business, and you were in the flow of making that business work, you also had a very kind of high feeling. That energy was strong and feeling high.
Right.
Well, you can be in the zone and be feeling energy that is got sadness and grief with it, because those are real feelings. They need to find a home within you. So your intuitive guidance, your ability to be in the zone and still create what you want, can happen at the same time as finding a home for other real, more difficult emotions in your life, like grief. So you might not feel the high that you felt back when your business was growing, but you can still be in the zone. It will feel just a little differently. So find your pocket, find your zone pocket that's going to feel a little different, because you are also dealing in life with some grief and sadness and adjusting to life without your mother. And that's very real. Right. So tap into your intuitive guidance and know that you can feel that and be in the zone and hear your intuitive guidance. And don't be hard on yourself if you're not at this high. That doesn't mean you're not working your energy. It just is a little different. It feels different is all. It's still just as powerful.
Yeah, and I remember reading that in your book actually about having these two areas sit side by side. So you don't totally have to be over like
no,
a difficult time, which is quite beautiful, because, you know, these are challenging times for people with COVID,
yes,
you know, their business and jobs and what have you. So to know that that doesn't have to consume you completely. You just have to home for it while working on your flow energy as well.
Yes, and it's just being genuine with yourself, because even when you are fully immersed in what is real and natural, like sadness and grief,
Yeah.
that genuineness, even if it's anger or frustration, when you name it, label it, and claim it as yours, it loses its sideways power to control you from outside of your awareness. You then, when you name it and claim it, you can take that question to your intuitive guidance. How do I sit with this? How do I release it if I want to release it? Or how do I find a home for it within me?
Right.
You can use the power of your intuitive guidance for all these emotions in your life.
And what about Melanie, if you're, for example, I mean, I'm generally high vibe, that's my, I have lots of great feeling molecules
Yes.
inside.
I am too, and so
You do,
yes.
yeah. So unfortunately, I've always been one of those people. I could always reshape things or reframe things to
Right.
have a decent life. And half the stuff that people believe out there, which cause them distress, I don't believe it anyway. So I've been quite lucky in that regard. However, there has been times and can be times, depending where I've moved, because different areas and places have different energy, I can have my high vibe self. And although I've learned how to deal with this situation now, I still feel there's people out there who this could help. But I could be in my high vibe mode and have my high feel, they have these beautiful feeling molecules inside of me. But I'm around a lot of people who have got that heavy energy, that heavy vibe. They have not yet read your book and know how to alchemize that into beautiful molecules. And you can have that really low vibe energy around you. Does that impact the intuition that can come to you because you've still got that energy around you? And if so, what could people do about it?
It depends on, yes, it can impact you if you allow it. So if you allow your energy to, many people have a false belief that in order to be compassionate with somebody that is having struggles, and maybe they have negative energy and you are with them, that in order for you to be a good friend or companion or family member, that you must match their energy. You must go there with them on that. Well, that is a false belief. You can stay in your own energy zone of feeling contentment and happiness and joy and power in your life and being in touch with your intuition while listening and being compassionate and doing your best to understand and support somebody else with negative energy. Now, my husband, he's so funny. He has a visualization when he's with people that have this negative energy. He has a visualization of this clear shield coming up around him, and their negative energy just can't come in. He can still communicate with listening and paying attention and being supportive, but their negative energy doesn't zap his positive energy. And I use this in the book as an example. Every chapter in the book has a power zapper section. And this is one of those examples about how do you navigate when people are negative that you're around. And so what are common ways in which people lose their power and give away their power. So every chapter has a power zapper, so you can be aware of these common ways we give away our power. And every chapter in the book has a power booster, which is the ways in which we can apply the little bit of science I've given in that chapter to make it work in your life.
Yeah, and that's what I loved, once again, is understanding, because I used to be in, that's it, recently I've learned how to deal with it, not to, because I used to always seep my energy out. I was so high vibe, I would seep my energy out, and then it will get gobbled up by all these people.
Yes.
Not protecting myself, and they would just savage me, and then I would come out absolutely exhausted and think, crikey, what was that about? So I had to learn how to, like I said, protect myself, be in that vibration, not to leak my energy, keep my shine within and what have you. But I still felt from reading your book, scientifically knowing what's happening. I'm one of these people, I do love science. Scientifically knowing what is happening in that situation, it almost felt as if it strengthened me even more.
So it strengthened you to understand more what was happening.
Yes, and to even protect myself even more.
Yes, because that energy, your energy of being able to be clearly focused on what's important to you and knowing that you are different than others. So somebody comes to you with this negative energy because of whatever's going on with them, and you can be caring and compassionate without giving away what's important to you. So it's so helpful to know how your power works in that way and the importance of really being in touch and hanging on to what is important to you and keeping that and not giving that away.
Absolutely. Now, the other bit I loved was you talked about where situations you'd been in with family and siblings and what have you. You were talking about your father's will that had been left over, and there was lots of complications. And every time you got together with your family, there was just like this energy war going on.
Yes, there was that.
And then get an email from someone, and that got your.
Yes.
And I thought I could relate to all of that.
Yes.
But what I loved was that shift of perspective, that you added humor to it and in your mind. And once again, this is what was really wonderful, because I had a situation recently, like I said, I'm far more involved and empowered, but still on my journey, you know, like anyone else. And there was a situation that when I went for my run, it was, although I disconnect, okay, I should explain that Melanie says in the book that what you want to do is deal with the situation differently. Be proud of yourself that you didn't act in your usual reactive way, but you dealt with it differently. And what she did in her situation, she added humor. So I thought to myself, I congratulated myself in the back and all the different ways I'd started to react differently. But there was one situation where I'd reacted differently, but still found, even when I was going on my run, and usually I go on my run, nothing affects me because I'm amongst nature, I'm in flow, and I'm on top of the world. You know, I think I'm a gazelle, you know, like a deer.
I love that.
But what happened was that this issue, which I recently treated differently, was still bugging me. And I was cross with myself. And I thought, come on, Ingrid, you dealt with it differently. You obviously haven't fully mastered this because it's still seeping into your head. And I was getting cross with myself. So when I read that bit in the book and you said add humor to it, I was like, okay. And I added humor to it. And it did. It really lightened the load. And then, which was fantastic, and you then talked about, you know, sometimes it may repeatedly come back because it's like a new muscle that you're exercising. So I love that. Add humor to it. And it solved so many issues or put a new perspective on it. Is there any other tips you can give to, you know, besides like adding humor, to just shift your perspective on something so you can just release your heavy energy in it and get some good feeling molecules inside?
There's a couple, and I'm just so appreciative of you of relaying that worked for you, that you just could make a shift by looking at the humorous side of things. And it, you know, when we look at the humorous side of things, what does that do for us? That helps us to recognize that we're different from other people. So, you know, when you're in a situation, and so go ahead, Ingrid, go ahead.
No, carry on. I said exactly what happened.
So that's what humor does for us, right? Because we recognize, wow, that's kind of funny. Everybody goes about getting their way in the world in a different way. Some people are pushy about it. Some people are kind of quiet about it. You know, some people do humor themselves about it. Some people get intrusive about it. And usually those ways that other people have for getting their way in the world is what bugs us. It's what triggers us. It's what's making us upset, is their way of them getting their way in the world. Well, when we find humor in it and you just notice it and you say, wow, okay, that's kind of funny. That person's way of doing things is kind of funny. It allows us to just accept we're different. You can accept yourself, and then you can just let them go and be themselves. Exactly. So that's absolutely key. Any method in which you can just sink into your own being and say, this is me. I have a different view and a different value than they do. That's okay. And you just own yourself. And when you own yourself, it is so much easier to let others be themselves.
And it's weird is that you're using that as the analogy, because that was my being my bonnet, is that the person wasn't recognizing the fact that I was different. I don't fall under that group. I don't fall under that stereotype for that particular stereotype. I don't want to, but was trying to club me together. But yet, listening to you, just like I wasn't accepting that she was different.
Yes.
Humor, you know, and it was fine. Let it go. That's how she feels. That's how I feel. And we're good to go. Crack on.
So good, so good. And I have one other tip or strategy that can always work in whatever situation you're in, even if you can't bring yourself to say, find humor, or bring yourself to really, in that moment, understand you're different than them and let go of the complaining or the blaming of others. This is a strategy that will work for you in every situation, every time, no matter what, and it automatically creates those smooth, even, real waves of energy within you. And that is to shift your focus to something, anything that you really love in your life. Anything it is that brings warmth to your heart and a smile to your face. If it's a pet, focus on just bringing the pet to your mind. If it's nature, you've described, Ingrid, how much you love to go for a run and be in nature. I imagine that you can just conjure up that image in your mind of going for a run and being in nature, and automatically a smile will come to your face. So it's anything that makes you smile, that automatically breaks the creation of molecules within you that are anger or frustration or fear or worry. And it creates the molecules within you that have those smooth, even waves that are powerful and can sync you with what you want in your life. So just feel gratitude for anything in your life that makes you happy.
I love that. And I love the way you keep repeating that. I've written it down, those smooth, even waves. And that's what we're going for. Yes. And it's fun, actually. I was watching a nature program the other day, and I've got I was planning to do a separate post on it, but I'll mention it now. And it was these whales who live in a part of Japan Sea or something like that. Mm-hmm. And due to man, they're no longer able to feed the way they usually feed. So they've had to adapt to a new way of feeding. What they do now, they go closer into shore, and they open up their massive mouths, like, wow, like this. And all the little fish around them panic, and they jump into its mouth. Right? Yes. And that's how it feeds, by freaking out the little fish around them. And I remember thinking, how creative of the whales. But another thing I picked up from that is that if only the fish got onto their smooth, even waves and didn't flip and flap, by flipping and flapping, they got gobbled up. Yeah. If they kept to their smooth, even wave, they would still be alive. They wouldn't have been gobbled up. So
I love that. I love that. It's a great analogy. They could have just continued to smoothly and evenly swim away and be away, move away, but they got all freaked out, and then they lost their power.
Lost their power. Gave their power away.
Yes, they gave their power away. That's what it's those power zappers I talk about in my book. They power zapped themselves.
Power zappers, go look out for the power zappers. I quote all the time. My final question. We can't talk about this without talking about impact on our health. Having, beautiful molecules inside. And how the body reacts, and that you talked about the molecules that come from our heart and how that repeats in our body. So let's talk about the health aspect very briefly.
Very briefly, the molecules that your body creates when you have an emotion, those molecules communicate to every cell in your body. They also communicate outside your body, but right now to every cell in your body, and it affects your health. So when you have molecules of emotion that are hopeful and caring and compassionate and loving and eager, the only time you can have those feelings of hope and eagerness and compassion and love is when you are feeling safe, when you're safe enough to have these visions for your future. Now, those feelings of safety, those emotions communicate safety to the cells of your body. And when the cells of your body get a message, everything's fine here, folks, I can function to my highest. Mm-hmm. Because every cell in your body has a DNA program that says what it is supposed to do when it's functioning at its highest. Mm-hmm. So you want those smooth, even waves of energy communicating in your body, because that means that all your cells can function to their optimal level and you can be healthy. Now, conversely, those jagged, sharp, chaotic, uneven, unpredictable waves of energy that come with fear and worry and anxiety, they communicate danger to the cells of your body. Your body doesn't know if it feels in danger because of anxiety and fear and worry about your finances, say, for example, or a job or something like that. It doesn't know the difference between that, your cells don't, and running from a fire because there's fear because there's real danger from a fire. It just communicates to the cells of your body danger. And when your cells of your body receive a danger signal, they go into flight or fight mode to protect themselves, to allow your body to protect itself. It's its main purpose. So it will take all of the energy away from organs that don't need it and push it to your heart and your muscles, because that's what you need in order to fight or flee. So that's no big deal if that happens occasionally in your life where something causes you anxiety and worry, and then you get in touch with that and you release that, no big deal. But if you have a habit of feeling worried and anxious and fearful for things in your life that just bring that forward into you regularly, then you are pulling the resources in your body away from organs like your liver and your kidney and your stomach and your brain, and your body is not functioning to its highest, and then disease happens. So these molecules of emotion, being aware of what you're feeling, having quiet time every day so you can shift away, get to know yourself and shift away from those old habits that cause anxiety and worry and fear. Use your intuitive guidance to learn and take one step at a time to shift away from those. You will then be calling forth in your body its optimal health.
You know, it's almost a separate topic, isn't it? We could almost have a separate show program just on the health one. And it's really quite weird because there's something that happened to me a few months back, which I shared on my platform, where I had a pain in the bottom right-hand side of just under my stomach. And I realized once I shifted the emotional issue I had at the time, the pain went. But what I related to even more when I read your book and thought, you know, we've really got to get this message out, because once again, people put this under the woo-woo bracket, and it's like, no, this stuff is real. And a few months ago, I had, not that long ago, it was this year, a few weeks ago, I had this problem with my eye. And it was irritating me. And they said it was dry eye, and it was giving me hell. And I was literally tearing it apart. Couldn't stop went to the opticians, giving drops, blah, blah. It was so bad, I had to go to the specialist eye hospital in central London.
Wow.
And they diagnosed it as an allergic eye disease. And at the time, they were thinking they may have to give me steroids for it, but it was going to see how it goes. And they didn't want to do that because there were so many other, I mean, I'm a bit of a nature girl anyway, you should go to the natural bit, but I thought it was what can I drink?
Yes.
So I put in my eye. You know?
Yes.
So they said, no, see how it goes. They gave me some stuff. And, you know, once again, this thing was a fight. And in fact, I've got some close-up pictures of myself. You can see like the extra crease in my eye. It was giving me utter hell. And I couldn't understand it. I didn't relate it to anything emotional because I thought, well, I'm all right. At the time, I was actually okay. Mm-hmm. And then recently, a friend of mine, I was playing about something in my mind, and if I was having a WhatsApp telephone call with a friend of mine, and she said one little thing in that released me from a little issue, which I thought was a little issue that I had. I didn't think it was that major, because I thought I was over it, but I did know it kept coming in and out of my mind. So it was clearly giving me more stress than I thought. Would you believe if I told you, after that, the eye stopped hurting? Gone.
So you had a shift that decreased the stress, and your eye issue gone?
Gone. And
wow.
I literally realized that day, I thought, I haven't rubbed my eye today.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, what's that issue causing that? And I thought, no. Because it's literally, I have to walk around the eye drops. It was that bad. And then later on, I thought, the next day, I can't believe it. It's gone.
Wow. So your system calmed down, your body, the stress was released, and your body calmed down and started functioning the way that it was meant to function. Your eye started functioning the way it was meant to function.
My eye!
Wow. Well, you are one powerful woman. I will say that, Miss Ingrid.
powerful. I don't know.
Well, very good. What a fabulous example.
Yeah. So what's going on? I was reading your book. I was like, that's what happened to me.
You're living, walking proof of everything that's in my book.
I wanted to come on this thing up. Thank you. My luscious. In closing, I'd love you to give my audience 3 takeaways, my darling, from your wonderful work. What would that be?
Well, the 3 takeaways is during your quiet time every day to do the 3 things I've already mentioned, which are your power sources. 1, which is to shift your focus away from the negative, disempowering things that you don't want and you don't like. So shift it away from other people that are doing things you don't like or complaint about yourself. Just shift it away from that and ask yourself, what do I really want? What do I want for myself? So you're going to shift from what you don't like and use that awareness to create a vision for what you do like. And number 2, in your quiet time, calmly and clearly and quietly, with a calm body and a calm mind, see that vision in your mind. Play a movie in your mind with that vision coming true for yourself. So you're going to activate that vision for yourself by just allowing those smooth, even waves of energy to come through you as a result of that vision, that clear, calm, focused vision you have. And number 3, pay attention to your intuitive guidance. When you're in that quiet time, listen and pay attention to the nudges, the hunches, the ideas, and ask yourself, is this right? Is this right for me? An opportunity. You'll have so many opportunities that will come to you and ideas, and you'll want to check with your intuitive guidance on what's right for you, what's a match that's going to connect you with what you really want in your life. So pay attention to that. My book will explain how you can really know whether it's your intuitive guidance or whether it's not, but it's a very powerful emotion that you will want to practice and use. So those 3 steps, release what it is that you don't release your focus on what you don't want, shift it to what you do want and activate that, and pay attention to your intuitive guidance.
Release, shift, pay attention. I love it. Now, I will have a link to your book in this post, but anyway, how can we keep in touch with you, Melanie?
Oh, please just log on to my website, melaniedean.com, MELANIEDEAN.com. And you can join my Wavemaker community, in which I give free resources to help you on your journey, to help you be powerful, to help you recognize and activate and do the things that will make you powerful, how to use this real energy that you have. And I have a podcast coming up next month that is on the health. It is on how our molecules of emotion affect our health. And so if you want more information on that, you could tune into my podcast, and I would be very happy to come on and have another session with you here on your podcast, Ingrid, and talk about that very matter. And so go in and join my Wavemaker community. I have emails and podcasts and information that's all free and it'll help you on your journey. And you can do that through melaniedean.com.
Dr. Melanie Dean, you are awesome beyond words. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the time today.
Honestly, it was my pleasure. I was excited. I couldn't wait to speak with you, and you didn't disappoint, honestly. So thank you so very much. Your book is amazing. Thank you so much for the work that you have done. My lovelies, please log on to Melanie's website, melaniedean.com. I still haven't quite finished the book, and already I was just like bounced all over the place. So do buy the book, give it some love, and yeah, do check out her website as well. Some great things there. What I'm loving the most is the way she describes that flow. I've got it here, the smooth, even waves within you. Oh, I'm just loving that. It just feels groovy.
That it does. That it does.
And for a replay of this video, my lovelies, don't forget to log on to my website, thesoulbabe.com. My name is Ingrid Marsh, and we're spreading you vibration, my darlings, of love, light, and happiness. Ciao.